Hi, this is Brian Klug with AnonTech, and what we're going to do right now is just give a quick performance comparison between the Motorola Droid 3, which is of course the phone on the left, and the Motorola Droid X, which is of course the phone on the right. So you might be wondering why I'm showing off Motorola Droid X versus the Droid 3 instead of the Droid 2. So the first reason is that I don't have a Motorola Droid 2 on hand, but the other reason is that the Droid X is a reasonably good facsimile for Droid 2 performance, and moreover, it's more of a better comparison because both of these are running Android 2.3. So of course the Droid 3 comes running Android 2.3.4. The Motorola Droid X comes running 2.3.3 with this latest update. And of course the Motorola Droid 2 is still running 2.2 if you're on stock. And the Motorola Droid X has a similar SoC to the Motorola Droid 2. Of course the Droid X has a 1 GHz OMAP 3630. The Motorola Droid 2 has an OMAP 3620 at 1 GHz, and of course the Motorola Droid 3 has an OMAP 4430 at 1 GHz. So of course this is a dual-core phone. So before we show anything else, I think that's kind of interesting to look at. If you go into System Panel, which I'm a big fan of, they recently added support for showing the second core. So you can see here at the top we have CPU activity on the first core and the second core. So of course the second core is actually off. There's one frequency plane between the two, but of course on OMAP 4 you can turn the second core off in circumstances where there isn't a lot of load. So I mean, if we generate lots of load just by scrolling up and down, you can see obviously, yeah, we just turned the second one on and we pegged it. So of course the UI is still, you know, a very CPU bound task, even in Android 2.3, even though there's lots of GPU acceleration now. So obviously the render thread is on that second core. You can also see it dynamically clock up to 1 GHz. And again, I think it's a reasonable comparison, you know, to compare the Droid 3 to the X, because both the X, the Droid 2, the Droid 3, and the X2 are all running with 512 megabytes of LPDDR2. So this is pretty fair in my estimation. So let's go fire up the browser and then just go to the AnonTech page. Okay, so I've got the URL for the AnonTech homepage punched in, and of course we're connected to the same 802.11n access point. So both of these only have 2.4 gigahertz single spatial stream WLAN support, and we've cleared the cache, of course, on both of these. So this is going to be a totally fair comparison. I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully the dual core helps things. So we're going to load them up. We're loading right over the web right now, so we'll see what happens. So the X actually is going pretty fast there. I think it's actually going to be pretty close, and of course we have flash on both of these as well. So it looks like the Droid X is pulling down some flash banners. It looks like the X, the Droid 3 finished first, and then the X finished next. So let's try loading the Alienware M11X story. See how this goes. It's pretty close there. Still loading things. Droid 3 finishes first. X is still loading. There, it's finished. So, I mean, obviously the Droid 3 is faster. I mean, obviously having a second core helps. Of course, this is a dual-core Cortex-A9, single-core Cortex-A8. Same amount of RAM again. Let's try loading the print page view. So you can look at scrolling here. It's still a little bit choppy. You know, it's still not as smooth as it could be. I'd say it's pretty equal between them. You do have to keep in mind, of course, that the Droid, where the comparison falls apart, is that the Droid X and of course the Droid 2 are FWVGA devices, whereas the Motorola Droid 3 is QHD. So you do have a difference in like 1.3 times as many pixels that need to be drawn. And for that reason, it's not totally a vanilla comparison. But I mean, even then, if you look at just scrolling here, it's still pretty choppy. And that's one of the things that will definitely be changed in Ice Cream Sandwich, is that they'll bring the backing store from Honeycomb sort of into Android mainline, and then of course it'll be much smoother since it'll be rendered into that backing store. Let's try. I didn't get to tap on those at the same time, but I want to see just for fun how how much of a difference it is when we have a full page. So of course you can see Flash kind of glitching out there where we're composing the page, and of course Flash is sort of overlaid. So when you have a window like this, the Flash still persists. Let's try another test. Let's go back to the home page. So even there, it looked like the Droid X had a lead, but the Droid 3 finished first. Let's try loading the power supply story. So wow, that was unexpected. That was pretty fast. Pretty dramatic difference there. And the X is still loading. Now it's done. Let's try just one more thing. What's a good... X is still loading. We'll come down and look at the Lucid. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so even there the Droid 3 finishes first. And again, these are both running Android 2.3. Of course, 2.3.4 on the Droid 3, 2.3.3 on the Droid X. So I think that's a pretty good look at how things compare. If we look at the Android UI as a whole, it's a little bit more challenging to compare because the Droid X doesn't have the new Moto Blur, or the Moto Blur that really isn't Moto Blur, but it still is Moto Blur. I mean, you can see if we go and just scroll back and forth, it's not cooperating with me, come on. Yeah, obviously the Droid 3 has that like 3D layer on top of things. But honestly, the UI on the Droid X, I mean, if that was my device that I had in my pocket, I wouldn't be really concerned a lot with how fast it is at that point. It seems pretty smooth. If you look at scrolling here, this is where, again, we can't really make a comparison because it goes this way now. But I guess you can sort of see, I don't know, honestly, it's pretty smooth on both of them. So this main Android UI, I guess, isn't really the concern. It's more, you know, both browser performance and then battery life and how things are going to work, you know, in other applications that you use. So I want to run one last test here where we open up the gigantic OS X Lion review in the print mode. So let's go and do that. Let's see if I can tap on print this article at the same time. So I mean, you can see right there that the Droid 3 definitely loaded that initial render faster. Now it's pretty neck and neck. The Droid 3 is definitely loading more though, and it's done. And here comes the X. Hopefully, still going there, it's done. So I think that's a pretty good look at just general overview of performance, especially in the browser, which is what I am generally concerned with, you know, first and foremost. And of course, scrolling still isn't very different, but you still have to keep in mind the fact that we have a larger resolution. So obviously, there is a, you know, it's not an apples to apples comparison in that regard. So thanks again, and definitely read the full review.